So in June 2008, when we passed the second phase, was the very first time that Rio passed the second phase. Rio had already participated or bid in 2004 and 2012, but we didn't make it to the threshold. And the major let's say, factor that changed right from this new bid was the fact that we had delivered the Pan American Games in 2007. Right? So we have actually brought in, fulfilled actually a perception that we had was the lack of visibility of our country. But we passed the second phase with the least, the worst of the notes, the grades, right, among the 4 cities that went to the second phase, which was Tokyo, Madrid, and Chicago. So by that time, June 2008, we had clearly some challenges, which was, the first one was to host the Olympic Games together with the Pan American, the Olympic Games, the World Cup here, right, 2014, 2016, being held just within 2 years of difference, brought some bad perception from the IOC members that we wouldn't be able to deliver or to capture sponsorship into the level that we would be required to. Right? So this was the first challenge. The second one was transport, accommodation, and security that were and still are challenges of the city, as you could see, and infrastructure challenges, as you could see yesterday. Right? So with all the problems in the city in terms of infrastructure, still lagging behind compared to Chicago, Tokyo. And opportunities, a new continent, for the very first time to be hosted in South America, strong political support, and transformation. The transformation benefit, right, comparing to Chicago, Tokyo, and Madrid, for Rio was a big benefit for us. And then the Pan American Games in 2007 gave us the credibility that we were lacking, but we had competing with Tokyo, Chicago, and Madrid, top-notch cities, right? Nobody doubts that Chicago, Tokyo, and Madrid can deliver good games. We had to transform this credibility into preference, right? So this was our reality by June 2008. We had the worst rate, right, and we had these challenges here. And then we brought in, actually we constructed this like kind of a strategic planning for our games, right? So the major pillars that we underpinned our bid on was to build a proposition that was technically excellent, right? We wouldn't be asking to IOC any kind of exception, right? So if you had to deliver, right, timely transport for the athletes, we had to fulfill those requirements in the bid. A unique experience for all the constituents, including media, including the athletes, right? We like the athletes, the media, the sponsors to feel the games in Rio as a unique, a different experience comparing to Chicago, Madrid, or to London, or to Beijing. And transformation, right? To infuse in our proposition the transformations, really make it something meaningful in our bid. And then we have put together a strong budget for the operation of the games and for the infrastructure budget as well. Of course, Rio, comparing to the other cities, had the largest OPAG infrastructure investment because we, of course, were lagging behind in terms of infrastructure. And we are bringing, after the games, after all this investment in games, we understand that we're going to have a positive impact, mainly on employment. Right? So we want to generate on a yearly basis about 120,000 new jobs before the games and a little bit more after the games. The games bring to the city, these were one of the slides that we have shown to IOC, is to show that Brazil is actually a very strong consumer market for all the major companies in the world. This is another slide as well. Out of the 10 major economies in the world, Brazil was the only one that has never actually hosted the games. So I'm showing just a few slides. So I have shown this distribution inequality has reduced drastically in Brazil, and now the middle class is majority. We have about 62% of our population is either upper or middle class in Brazil, which brings actually new consumer power into the overall market. And communication, right? Just to give you a snapshot of how communication was important and actually going to be important throughout this evolution from now up to games time. This was the Evaluation Commission visit rehearsal, right? So we made a strategic decision before on planning for the event. We had some barriers, some challenges during the bid, right? One of the challenges was the language barrier, right? So we had a very good technical proposition, but we should be able to sell it properly. How many times do we have a good idea, but because we cannot transfer or communicate well, we lose the opportunity to sell, right? So we knew that up front, and we had to plan for that. So the strategic decision that we have made is to rehearse how the presentations, the continental presentations, or how the presentations we would be making along the bid should be extensively rehearsed. And for doing that, 3 weeks before the Evaluation Commission visit, we put in the auditorium of the Olympic Committee simulation room with the same distribution of the table. So this is actually the same table that we have used in the Evaluation Commission. And we have contracted 14 consultants. Several of them actually have participated in Evaluation Commissions for IOC. And we called in, here you can see the President Luzman, our President, but you can see on his right-hand side the Governor and the Mayor. Right? They were attending to a rehearsal session in our auditorium 3 weeks before the actual Evaluation Commission presentation. So by doing that, actually, we could extract and test our presentation, not only on delivering the presentation, but also delivering the content. Right? And this consultants here, they were pushing to the limit, right? Bringing questions or posing, tricky information onto the presentation just to make us prepared for delivering that. So 3 weeks after that, we were then in the final presentation room. This is the Copacabana Palace Hotel, and this is pretty much the setup we put together with that. So where's the lady? So this is a fake wall, right? None of these walls here they exist in the room. But here you can see that we have 6 LCD TVs on this side. Here is our side of the table, right? The organizing, the bid committee is sitting here. And actually this is the Evaluation Commission from IOC. So since we didn't have most of the members, right, we delivered 16 different presentations on this side. Environment, transport, and we had different setups for this side of the table. So in many of the secretaries, right, the ministers, secretaries, the government people, they don't speak English. So we had to have simultaneous translations for the questions posed by IOC here done real time for them. So that's the reason that we have this screen TV. And you can see here some windows on the top where we have some surveillance cameras on this top part of the so, and this is the back side, the support room. As you can see here, this is the scripted, the written questions, right, that they were transcribed into Portuguese, English and Portuguese, real time. So this is the Portuguese translation, and you can see here is the paper. It's a paper in front of our Secretary General, where by the time he was being questioned, any particular question here by IOC, he was sitting just here, right? He couldn't step up and say, okay, who says it's your turn to answer this question, right? We wouldn't have this time. So he had to somehow communicate to the other side of the table. So a way that we have found out to do that was he was writing on top of his paper, question 1 is to who says, question 2 is for Teshima, question 3 is for Celso, for example, right? And the person was writing here the name in yellow, right? This lady here was transcribing the English version, and this is a translator. Actually, I don't know if he works for you.